The year 2275 marked the beginning of humanity's most desperate and most hopeful endeavor. Earth, long a symbol of human achievement, had become a dying planet, its resources exhausted and its ecosystems in collapse. The soil was barren, the oceans choked with pollutants, and the atmosphere was a toxic blend of chemicals that made breathable air a rare commodity. After centuries of careless exploitation, humanity faced the inevitable conclusion: Earth could no longer sustain life. The end was near, and yet there was a glimmer of hope, a last chance for survival. It came in the form of new Terra, a distant exoplanet discovered in the outer reaches of the galaxy. It was a world that seemed to promise everything humanity needed: fertile land, a breathable atmosphere, abundant water, and a climate that could support human life. There were few details, but the most important fact was undeniable: New Terra offered humanity's last hope for a future beyond Earth. The Exodus program was launched in response. The United Earth Colonies, UEC, which had been building space stations and colonies on the Moon and Mars for decades, now gathered its remaining resources for an ambitious project of unparalleled scale. Hundreds of ships, each designed to carry thousands of human survivors, would depart Earth in an exodus to the distant world. These ships would carry the last remnants of humanity: scientists, engineers, soldiers, civilians, and children on a journey that would last generations. The flagship of this monumental effort was the UECS Liberty, a vessel unlike any other. Its hull was massive, reinforced with state-of-the-art alloys and powered by a revolutionary fusion drive capable of sustaining it through the long voyage. Captain Elena Cade was entrusted with its command, a seasoned leader with years of military experience. Cade had been selected not only for her leadership skills but also for her ability to maintain order in the face of adversity. She knew the stakes. Earth was dying, and the Exodus was humanity's final chance. The lives of thousands, perhaps the last lives of the human race, rested on her shoulders. As the Liberty and the rest of the Exodus fleet departed Earth's orbit, the gravity of the situation became clear to all aboard. The people of Earth had been through so much: wars, famine, disease, but nothing could have prepared them for the isolation and uncertainty of the journey ahead. Most of the passengers went into cryogenic sleep, their bodies preserved for the long trip to New Terra, while only a small crew remained awake, monitoring the fleet's systems and guiding the ships through the emptiness of space. Dr. Arik Devlin was one of those awake. A brilliant young scientist, Devlin had been selected for his expertise in advanced propulsion systems. He had worked on the technology that made the Exodus possible, but he couldn't help feeling a deep sense of foreboding as the years stretched out before him. His work had given him hope for humanity's future on New Terra, but deep down, Devlin was filled with questions. What if New Terra wasn't the paradise they imagined? What if it was dangerous, or worse, uninhabitable? As decades passed, time seemed to lose its meaning. The fleet drifted through the stars, and the cryogenic sleep chambers that held the bulk of humanity's passengers remained undisturbed. For Captain Cade and her crew, the journey was long, but it was also filled with moments of quiet reflection. Cade often stood alone in the observation deck, gazing at the vastness of space and wondering about the future of her people. "I'll be dead before we reach New Terra," she once confided in her second-in-command, Lieutenant Sophie Zhang, as they stood together one night. "But I know it's worth it. For them, for humanity. I have to believe it." Zhang nodded in agreement, but the weight of her words lingered in the air. "We'll get there. It'll be worth it." And so the years passed, until the fleet finally emerged from its long journey through the void. In 2343, nearly 70 years after leaving Earth, the first ships arrived in the vicinity of New Terra. The planet appeared before them like a jewel, untouched and serene, hanging in the vast expanse of space. It was everything they had hoped for: lush forests, vast oceans, and expansive plains, all beneath a sky that seemed to promise a new beginning. The fleet's approach was greeted with cautious optimism. The first step of humanity's second chance had arrived. Landing teams were dispatched to survey the planet, preparing to establish colonies. The crew of the Liberty led the way, touching down in the rolling hills of a wide continent that seemed perfectly suited for human habitation. The initial reports were everything the colonists could have wished for. The air was breathable, the soil rich with nutrients, and the climate temperate. The long months in cryo-sleep and the long years of travel had not been in vain. New Terra was everything they could have dreamed of. But as the days passed and the settlers began to unpack their lives and prepare for the long-term colonization of New Terra, an unsettling feeling began to settle over the colony. It was subtle at first, strange, unexplained anomalies in the atmosphere that disrupted their communications. Electrical disturbances seemed to ripple through the air, causing equipment to malfunction, and strange sounds were heard at the edge of the settlement. But what truly set the crew and colonists on edge were the reports from the reconnaissance teams. They had discovered evidence of an ancient civilization buried deep beneath the planet's surface. The ruins they uncovered were massive, complex, and unmistakably alien. The structures were made of materials that seemed beyond human technology, smooth surfaces and crystalline alloys that defied current scientific understanding. They were clearly not built by any human civilization, and yet they were designed in ways that suggested advanced intelligence. Captain Cade's team quickly realized that New Terra had not been untouched by civilization after all. The planet had once been home to an alien species. And though that species was long gone, the remnants of their culture were everywhere. The most curious discovery, however, was a series of strange energy signatures emanating from deep within the planet. The readings were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Dr. Devlin was part of the team investigating the alien technology. The deeper they explored the ruins, the more they realized that these were no mere remnants of a forgotten civilization. They were signs of something far more powerful, something that was still active, buried beneath the surface of New Terra. Weeks passed, and the more they uncovered, the more questions arose. Who were these aliens? What happened to them? And why had they left New Terra, leaving behind only their ruins and strange, enigmatic devices? But the greatest mystery lay beneath the surface. The alien structures seemed to be connected to an intricate network of energy fields, each one more complex than the last. Dr. Devlin theorized that the aliens had harnessed the very energy of the planet itself, perhaps even the energy of the planet's core, to power their civilization. The network of energy conduits beneath the planet was immense, stretching across the entire continent. But they were not simply technological remnants. There was something alive down there, something that had been dormant for millennia. And then, it happened. The Athari, the ancient alien race that had once ruled New Terra, began to stir. Unknown to humanity, the Athari had left behind an artificial intelligence that was linked to the planet's core, a system designed to keep watch over the planet, waiting for the return of the Athari. But as the human settlers began to disturb the ruins, they inadvertently triggered the reactivation of this system. The planet began to respond, and so too did the dormant Athari intelligence. The first signs of the Athari's return were subtle. At first, it was just the interference in their communication systems and electronic hum that became a constant presence. Then came the strange electrical storms, more intense than anything the planet had experienced since the humans' arrival. The power grid flickered, and entire settlements lost power, throwing them into darkness. But it wasn't just the equipment that malfunctioned. People began to disappear. In the dead of night, entire research teams vanished without a trace. Their equipment was found abandoned, but there were no signs of struggle. No bodies, just an eerie sense of something watching, something waiting. Dr. Devlin and the rest of the scientific team soon realized the full extent of the danger. The Athari were not extinct. They had merely been waiting, hidden beneath the surface of New Terra. They had left their technology behind, and now they were ready to reclaim the planet. And they were not pleased with humanity's intrusion. As the Athari's ancient machines began to activate, the human colonies found themselves under attack. The Athari's war machines, designed to protect the planet from invaders, rose from the Earth itself, powered by the alien energy network. They were massive, biomechanical constructs, capable of decimating entire cities with ease. Their weapons were unlike anything humanity had encountered before, energy beams that tore through steel and stone alike, causing entire settlements to collapse in flames. Captain Cade and her crew quickly realized that their colonies were ill-prepared for such an assault. The Athari had been waiting, hidden in the depths of the planet, for thousands of years. Now they were awake, and they saw humanity as nothing more than an invader to be eradicated. The battle for New Terra began. The humans fought desperately to defend their new home, but the Athari's superior technology and vast numbers made the fight seem hopeless. Cities fell, colonies were raised, and all the while, the Athari's intelligence and ancient, artificial consciousness watched from deep beneath the planet's surface, its motives unclear but its intentions unmistakable. The last hope of humanity lay with the Liberty and its crew. Captain Cade knew that they had one final chance to turn the tide. They had discovered the key to the Athari's power, the energy network beneath the planet's surface, and now they had to find a way to use it against the Athari before it was too late. But the clock was ticking, and with every passing day, the Athari grew stronger. Humanity's second chance, it seemed, was slipping away.